everyone, so today I thought I'd show you how I contour my face with cream products, and my product of choice is this Supercover Corrector Wheel. This comes with 6 different shades inside it. This is the universal contour shade, this is the highlight, this is just a universal concealer to cover up any redness. This is an under eye corrector and it's salmon coloured, and this I believe is a blush. Now on the inside in the middle there is a lavender veil, and I'm not too sure what that's for, but I believe that's used in like stage makeup or theatre makeup. Now let me just show you how I contour my face. It will obviously be different for everybody because people, you know, have different areas of their face that they want to hide, or different parts of their face that they want to accentuate. Now for me personally, I don't wear cream contour on a daily basis at all. I think it's too heavy, it's just way too much makeup, and not everybody needs it. You know, I don't feel like I need it, and if I do, I just use a bit of powder. But at the end of this video, I'll show you how I use the powder to set the cream. Now I've started off by doing my brows, my eye makeup, my foundation and my lipstick, but obviously I haven't put anything on my face other than the foundation and concealer. So I'm going to start off with just a flat shader brush, this is quite a large one, go into my contour colour here, and I'm just going to contour under my cheekbones. So to do it a bit easier, I put the brush up against the top of my ear and down to the corner of my mouth, and you roll it down slightly. There's a slight dip just here, so when you're rolling it down you can feel the dip, and that is where your natural contours of your face would be. So I'm just going to apply it in a straight line. The idea is not to bring it all the way down to the corner of the mouth, because when you bring it a lot further down in this area you get that beard effect, and that's the last thing that you want. It doesn't have to be too neat at this stage. Obviously try not to bring it too low down or too high up, because you don't want that muddy effect. And again, this just takes a bit of practice. Contouring is something where you just need to keep on practicing in order to get it right. Next, I like to contour under my jawline. Like I said, I don't recommend contouring on a daily basis at all. I just think it's too heavy and you just don't need that much contour. But a cream contour is really good to use if you're going out in the evening, you want a bit more coverage and a bit more definition to your face, because as you may have seen before I put the contour on, I literally just had foundation. I had no blush or anything else on my face aside from the eyes and the lips. So my face looks quite flat, and the face isn't a flat surface, it is 3-dimensional. So by adding the contours, you're just adding that dimension back into your face. So I've just gone under my jawline, I've gone around the sides of my face and all the way down the jawline. Now, I don't actually have a large forehead, but if you did have a large forehead, you could contour along the outsides of it. But just to show you, I'll do my temples, and by contouring these areas, you're sort of creating shadows and making them disappear effectively. Next, I'm just going in with a contour brush, and I'm just going to blend it all out, and then I'll show you how to do the nose. Try not to move it again, try and go backwards and forwards in the same sort of motion. Now the reason that I like this Supercover kit is because the universal contour shade is really good for anyone that has a skin tone like mine or a bit fairer. It even works on skins that are a little bit darker than this. Obviously if you have really dark skin, I wouldn't recommend contouring at all, because it's quite hard to get really dark contour shades. So you would actually do the opposite. I'd just recommend highlighting, and that would just accentuate your features. So there we go, I've just added a bit of dimension to my face, a bit of contour, and you can bring it around a little bit if you want to, just to define the apples of your cheek. Again, everyone's face is different, everyone has a different face shape and different features that they like and dislike, so it's entirely up to you what you do at this stage. Now, if you do want to contour your nose, this is actually the most difficult thing to master, and it does take a lot of practice. If you're not comfortable with it, or if you don't get the lines perfectly straight, you can end up looking like you have a crooked nose. So it's probably best to practice before you're ready to take it out into public. But what I recommend for this is just to use a business card or a credit card. I've got one of my business cards here, and I'm going to go in with the same brush, but I'm just going to use the smaller end of this, just like this. I prefer doing it freehand, but to practice, what you can do is just get your business card, start on one side of your nose, like so, and just stripe it all the way down. There we go, so I've got one stripe down my nose, and I'm going to repeat the same for the other side, and I'll do this one freehand just to show you. Now, for the ends of the contour, you can, depending on the nose shape that you want to achieve and the nose shape that you have, you can either join it up to the bottom of your brow, you can either just leave it all the way straight down, or you can sort of bring it round into the crease of your eyelid. So it's entirely up to you what sort of look you want to achieve. Just to show you, I'm going to just curve it round this way. If you haven't got your eye makeup on, you could bring the contour all the way along the crease. And if you're not wearing eyeshadow, it just almost acts like a crease colour, defining your eyes a little bit more. I believe I've got what I think are 2 straight lines down my nose. Next, I'm just going to bring them around the tip of my nose. I don't want my nose to look that much longer, I just want it to look narrower, so it's a good idea to sort of join it up. Some people, if you want the end of your nose, the tip of your nose to look a little bit rounder, you can just sort of do a line about here, but I prefer not to. Now that I've got my cream contour on, I'm going to take the same brush. I actually recommend using an eyeshadow blending brush, but I haven't got one to hand right now, so I'm going to just press on it just to make it thinner. You can see there, and then just blend straight down. Sometimes I do like to just sort of sweep it away from the centre. I just like to blend this step out before I apply the highlight. I just find it a bit easier, it's a bit less messy, and you're not constantly chopping and changing with brushes. So you can apply the highlight and you can apply the contour all together and then blend it all out together. That's entirely up to you. Now I'm just using another one of the flat shader brushes. I've got 2, but this is a clean one. And I'm picking up my highlight. Now I'm not using a ton of this because, like I said, this is a universal highlight colour and it's way too bright for my skin. So I'm going to apply it in the places that I need it. Now, just to let you know, I have very dark circles under my eyes, so most days, in fact every day, I use a corrector and a concealer. Now if I was to apply the highlight under my eyes like most people would, this is just going to make my under eye area look completely grey and really discoloured and just make it stand out and not in a good way. So what I do instead is I just apply it underneath the bags of my eyes. I sort of go over the line of the bags of my eyes because the highlight brings anything out. So with highlighter, you basically do the opposite as contour. You want things to stand out even more. I start with the side of my brush and just apply it down the side of my nose. That's a good guideline. You want to apply it in a triangle, almost follow the contour line but leave a little bit of room for blush in between. I bring it round here and notice I'm not applying too much at all. There we go. So I know this looks really strange and it's probably something you've never seen before because most people do take it all the way up to their lash line. And like I said, if you don't have dark circles, if you don't have that greyness under your skin, then by all means take it all the way up to your lower lash line, but I don't. So I've applied this in a triangle shape and that's very, very important. Highlight should only really be applied to the highest points of your face. You ideally want this to look as natural as possible, and face to face, in person, yes, it might look heavy, especially in the daylight it will look very heavy, but it will photograph amazingly. Next I'm doing exactly what I did on the nose. I'm just using the end of my brush, don't know if you can make that out, just the thinnest part. I'm just going all the way down my nose. Now like I said, you can use the business card or the credit card, but I would use the other side, which is clean, because as you can see I've got a lot of product on my card here, but I'm going to show you freehand. At this point, if you've got your contour lines perfectly straight, the highlight doesn't have to be completely straight, but as long as you sort of keep between the lines at this stage, it's fine. I like to stop just on the tip of my nose where it's at the highest point. Any further down than that and it can just look really strange. Now, from the top, you just use whatever's left on your brush and just sort of spread it all out. The top of your forehead is, again, a place where light will naturally hit you. This is ideally where you just want the highest concentration of colour to be. I would just apply a tiny bit on my Cupid's bow, and again it helps if you don't already have lipstick on. Just a bit on my chin. And at this stage, if you have really sort of deep set lines, like the smile lines on your face, you can also highlight on them, because again, because they're a line, you're lifting them out by highlighting on top of the line. We're going to blend it all out. Now you can use a brush, you can use a buffing brush, a stippling brush, a paintbrush style of foundation brush, but I really like to use a wet sponge. Now my sponge is really dirty, but it's not brush cleaning day yet, and it's a pain washing these sponges, but this is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge, and I just use it damp so it's nice and easy to work with. I use the pointed end, which is the end that I always use to set my highlight, and what I do is I just push it into my skin like so. At this stage I would just concentrate on blending out the highlight before you touch the contour. So what I've done is I've literally just pushed the highlight into my skin like this. I squeeze the sponge like so just to make it a bit thinner, and then I just push it all into my skin. That way I'm not dragging it out to where the contour is, I'm not moving it around, it's just in that one concentrated area. Now I'm going to take the flat end of my sponge, so I'm just going to push it into my skin just like this, just over the contour, just in a stippling motion. Now I can see from my viewfinder that I look really scary. I think it's just the lighting. This does, I promise you, look very natural in real life. And if you want to, like I said, you can mix the highlighter with some of your foundation if you feel that this is too pale for you. So now that it's all on my face, what I like to do is just set it with a bit of powder. If you're new to contouring, I've got a budget option for you too, but I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit in light medium, and I've just reviewed this on my blog actually, so if you'd like to see the review I'll link it somewhere here. This comes with 3 different highlights, there's 2 matte ones, 1 shimmer, and 3 different contour shades. So again, if it's for personal use, I just don't think it's necessary. If obviously you're a makeup artist working on different faces and you've got a range of colours there, and obviously it's really useful. I like to take it on a fluffy brush, and I believe this is a blusher brush by MAC. It's the 129. It's not my favourite brush, there's a lot of fallout, but I quite like to set my contour with it because it's quite big and fluffy. So what I do is I literally pick up a bit on my brush and just tap off the excess, and I just go in sweeping motions, literally just over where I've contoured. I don't want to obviously be moving it about and setting it in a completely different place, but this just sort of warms up your face and just brings that contour back that may have been lost from the blending. By adding all these different layers onto your face as well, it prevents flashback, which is a really good thing to do, because if you're being photographed and somebody uses a flash, you're going to get that awful white powdery look that you've probably seen on some celebrities. So I'm not using too much product, I'm just using enough, and I'm just going over it, and this also just helps to blend it out a little bit too. Now remember to go all the way down your jawline as well, the last thing you want to do is just to sort of have a line running along your chin. Now that that's all set, again I'm going to pinch it because I haven't got a small eyeshadow blending brush, and I'm just going to set my contour down my nose. Don't use tons and tons of contour for your nose. I know a lot of people think that they need it, but you really don't, and just the tiniest amount can make the biggest difference. So now that I've set all of that, what I'm going to do is set the highlight. So for this, I like to use the banana powder, which is this shade in the middle here. But again, you can use any setting powder. The yellow just looks good on my skin because I've got a yellow undertone to my skin, so from the white highlight, it just kind of lets some of my natural colour shine through almost. The final step that I like to do is obviously just to add some blush, just to add a little bit of colour now that we've added the light and the shadows. So I don't really want a lot of makeup going on today because I've got quite a heavy eye makeup look and I've got a bold lip. So I'm just going to use this bronzer, and I've actually depotted it. This is the MAC Shooting Star Mineralized Skin Finish Bronzer. This is discontinued, but it's one of my favourite bronzers ever, so I hardly use it in the hope of sort of preserving it forever, but I know one day it will die. This just adds a little bit of shimmer, and I just find that it kind of gives me that glow back, especially when I've used this much highlighting. Okay, so I've just put my blush on and I've buffed all of my face. I've buffed the bronzer, the contour and the blush all in together. So if you want to see how I did that, I'll link my video somewhere here. So I've set my blush, and as promised I thought I'd show you a budget product. Now like I said, if you're new to contouring, the last thing that you want to do is go out and buy so many different products that say the word contour on them. There's so many companies just jumping up on the bandwagon of the word contour and coming out with so many new kits, and you don't actually need to buy all of them. There are so many products that most people probably have at home if you regularly wear makeup and you like to experiment, and you can use those products to contour with too. One of those products that I really recommend is this Natural Collection eyeshadow. It's less than £2 in Boots, and it's called Walnut. This is a very cool tone, sort of grey-brown eyeshadow, and it's got no shimmer in it, which is the most important thing to look for when contouring, because natural shadows on your face don't have shimmer on them. And it's a really good colour to practice with, and like I said, it's less than £2, so I'd really recommend it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you feel more confident with contouring with cream products now, and remember, practice makes perfect. So just practice, 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 and then you can wear your contour out in public, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! This is a great mixture, and it's so quick to make, it's really inexpensive, and it just helps your lipstick to glide on so much more smoother once you've exfoliated your lips.